Oh my goodness. Yeah, I've just got back. We had a few days away and it's been an interesting day, and planes were late and delayed and all sorts of stuff going on, which really was a bit much. But anyway, I am now here. I'm just looking, I can't see the chat. Let me get the chat up. That's right. Oh, so I am here and we are live, and it is back to our Tuesdays, and it will be Tuesdays from now on. I don't think there's anything coming up now that's going to get in the way, thank goodness. I had set out all of this project before I went away. Can't quite remember what I was going to do, but I think we'll manage something. Anyway, I hope everybody's all right. Please let me know if you are watching. And yeah, oh no, that's fine. It's just telling me I've gone live. That's fine. I thought that was an error message, but it wasn't. Because when I first logged on, it decided it couldn't link with Facebook. So I had to relink it with Facebook. So hopefully that's there. And if anyone is watching on Facebook, please let me know to make sure it is actually working. Or if you're watching it on repeat, thank you for joining me. Anyway, here I am. And let me get the craft desk up so that you can see the desk rather than me. That's better. And it is the right way round. Yes, thank goodness for that, because that was the other thing. All the settings had reverted to their natural settings, which meant that the camera on the craft desk was the wrong way round. I hadn't linked to Facebook, so I had to relink to Facebook, and we've literally only just got home, so it's a bit, still got the unpacking to do. That can wait. It's fine. Anyway, today I have got a coffee because I am absolutely gasping. So excuse me if I have to keep having the odd gulp of coffee. But otherwise, I'm not going to be able to talk very much. So that's that way. There we go. I am gasping. Traveling always makes me really thirsty. I don't know why. Is anybody else the same? I have to find that. Right. Today, I wanted to show you a card labelled with love. And this is going to be part of my working with ribbons set, because I did promise a while ago, I promised a couple of you would go through ribbons and how to use those and use them better on cards. So I've got some ideas for how to use today's. And I'm using the labelled with love set because this particular set comes as a bundle. You can either buy the stamp set with the punch, or you can buy the stamp set with 3 dies, all exactly the same. They're this shape to cut out this outline sentiment box. So punch and the dies do the same thing, but it's your choice whether you want the punch or the dies. Personally, I prefer the punch, so that's what I've got. But as I say, you can get it with a set of 3 dies, which obviously if you're making a lot of cards, that makes sense because you've then got a lot of ways to cut out the sentiment. Lovely set. It's got these flowers and leaves, which I'm going to be using today. It's got little presents and a big present. It's got this sort of confetti stamp, which I'm also going to show you today. Happy birthday, you are loved, enjoy today, thanks friend, just for you. And a butterfly with an outline and a sort of infill. So lots and lots of things you can actually do with this set. So we're going to play with it a little bit today to make this card. But I actually wanted to show you more how to use some ribbons. So I've got here, this is, I'm not sure which ribbon this is. What is it? Boho blue. Boho blue ribbon to match my boho blue card that I've chosen as the background. It's really not so much a masculine card, but it could be adapted for a masculine card, my plan. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to get my stamps out. You can see them all on this. Bring it a bit closer so you can see all the different stamps, which are lovely. So I think I'll probably... Well, I haven't decided actually which I'm going to use. So I have 1 die. Now, yeah, I ought to tell you the reason I have 1 die is because actually I've been invited to do a card for our Stamping Up event this Saturday, which is rather nice. Hello, Ardeen. Lovely. Good morning from British Columbia. Good afternoon here. Lovely that you could join me. Thank you for joining me. Excuse me, coughing. But yes, I actually have a die. So you can see the die as well as the punch here. It cuts out exactly the same shape. But the reason I have that is because I've been asked to do this card for our Stamping Up event. Our business lady is coming over, the development manager is coming over. They're actually in Southern Ireland as we speak at an event down there. And they've come over to run an event up here in Belfast as well, which is lovely. So we're going to get to see them. And they wanted 2 or 3 people to do a couple of presentations on the day. And I volunteered and I was chosen. So I'm very proud about that. So I've made a fun card, a little bit like, no, it's not really very like the one I'm going to do today, but it's close enough. So I'm just getting out the stamps I'm going to use today. I think we'll use I could use those on the side, and then, yeah, I might, you know what? I might just use might use these as well. I might use the butterfly as well, this butterfly. You might have to go, where's my other small, seems to have run out of small blocks. I've no idea why. Okay, I'll put him on there. It's a bit big for the sentiment, but it'll do. I think I'll probably use happy birthday. It's very big for the sentiment. For heaven's sake, I might have to swap it onto that one in a minute. I'll leave it over there for now. Okay, so I'm going to use that one as well. That's what I needed that block for this shaped one. Little tip, when you're using these stamps that are empty in the middle, if you try and put them on a block, you can see how easy it is to get them absolutely misshapen. So best way to do it, just drop it upside down on your work surface and then pick it up with your block, and then it retains its shape. So just a little hint for both this stamp and probably this stamp as well that I've already put on, but that would work in the same way because it's empty in the middle. It's got holes in the middle of it. So if we turn it upside down, pick it up with the block, we know that it's the right shape. It's the right way around. It's not skewed. What do I mean? It's not skewed out of shape. That's what I really want to say. 6 a.m. Good grief. Oh, I'm glad that it's a lovely way to start the day. I'd still be asleep. I'd still be looking at the back of my eyeballs if if it was 6 a.m. here. Hello, Suzanne. Lovely. Lovely that you can join me as well. How brilliant. That's super. Thank you for letting me know you're there, people. It's lovely to see you. So I hope you're going to enjoy this card. So I've cut myself all sorts of bits. Let me go through the bits I've already got ready. So I've got my card blank. This is just my normal card blank. So in centimetres, 21 by 14.8, scored at 10.5. In inches, it would be 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. Slightly different shape size that you use over in the States. And then I have two other pieces here. I have a large piece of white card, which is my first layer here. And this is my normal layer. It's 10 by 14.3 in centimetres. For the inches, it would be 4 inches by 5.25 inches. And then I have another piece of white, which I'm actually going to lay. I'm going to have 2 layers, both white, on my white card, because I think sometimes that can look really nice. And I hope it just shows. Probably difficult to show, but I've got 3 layers there. Anyway, we'll see how it is. So yes, the other layer here I've got is smaller again. So it's 9.5 centimetres by 13.8, or 3.75 inches by 5 for working in inches. So the first thing I'm going to do, and there isn't, if you see I hold those together, there isn't a huge amount of space around the edge. They are just sort of 2 layers laid on like that. Actually, what I could do, I could show you. Mum, I'll do it another time. No, we'll stick with my original plan. Don't go mad. What I haven't got is my ink pad Boho Blue, which is one of the current ink colours, which run out next April. So we've still got plenty of time to use them. I really do like the 21 to 20, what is it? 22 to 24 ink colours. No, we are 24, so it must be 23 to 25 ink colours. Yeah, they're lovely. So Boho Blue. So first of all, I'm going to stamp my outline in Boho Blue. So this is my outline stamp. So again, just pick up some ink. I'm going to stamp it 3 times on my scrap piece here, because we're going to have 3 of these there. And that's just a strip off a piece of A4. It's big enough for 3. You can actually get slightly more on if you really wanted to squeeze it in and not waste card, but I find it's enough. So that is my outline stamp. So I can put that one back, because I will need my block's a bit too big for that. Never mind, it's fine. Right. In fact, if I do, let me just move my flowers for a minute, and then I'll do my happy birthday first. Although I think I might do that on a scrap. Thinking of what to do. Yeah, I think I might. Just changed my mind on the outline of the card. We'll see how it goes. Is that big enough? Yes, it is. This is one of my scraps of basic white, so I'm just going to stamp that. Happy birthday. Again in blue, and then we can get rid of this, and I can use this block for my flowers. Because these double stamps, where you've got 2 stamps that meet together, Our blocks are great because, of course, you can see through them, which is brilliant. Just put that over there for a minute. But when I'm doing these, I want to line up the flowers so they go in the middle of the leaves. Now, I am doing this all one colour, but obviously if you're doing it on basic white, you would do it in 2 different colours, probably greens for the leaves and something else. Why don't I do that? Let me grab another piece just so I can show you. There we go, that one will do. I'll just grab this one back again. Just very quickly do another couple of these just to show. Then I can choose myself what I do for the card, actually. Anyway, I'll just do a few more of those just to go through and show you various ideas. This card's getting, well, because I haven't been here and I've got different ideas now from when I laid the stuff out before we went away to Edinburgh for a few days. Oh, what the heck. Anyway, let me show you with these leaves and things. On here, I was going to do them the same colour, but if I do get some different colours, let me get... so if I use boho... if I'm using boho blue for my blue, which green shall I use? Probably my favourite Old Olive, my go-to green, which is Old Olive. That would go with boho blue. Old Olive, I think, goes with everything, actually. So if I show you one here, when I'm doing the flowers and the leaves, I would always do the flowers second. So I would always do the leaves first. So I'm going to, first of all, put a leaf pattern in the middle of each of those just by inking it up and then just laying it down in the middle, roughly. That one's gone over the edge a little bit, but it does fit in the middle of the shape. So there's my leaves. Just clean that up. So then when I get my flowers, what you'll see with the flowers, if I just show you on this scrap, if you look at what the flowers look like when they're stamped, you have the 3 big ones and then you have these 3 little ones. And on the leaf stamp, can you see you've got 3 little stems here, here and here. Can we see that okay? See the little tiny stems that come out. It's 2 at the bottom, but you can see one either side, sort of in the middle and at the top, just there and there, yeah? And those are what you want to line up with. So when I'm lining this up, these 3 little flowers go on. Let me show you with pointy tools, it might be easier. Those 3 little flowers sit there, there, and here. So these are the bits I want to look for when I'm looking through my block to see where I need to actually place the stamp. Okay, so I can ink it myself. I get it the right way round. So I've got my 3 flowers like that match the stem. So you get the flower the right way round. Does that make some sense? Can you see that okay? See how I've got my 3 flowers and my 3 big flowers sort of top left, middle right, bottom left, and then the 3 little flowers match it there. So then we can line, knocking my ribbon off. We can line those up. So if I ink that up, I'm going to have to lean over it a little bit to see, but the big flower here lines up with the left-hand vertical stem. Then you've got the 3 little ones to line up, and those are the ones I use to line up. So I want to line up those little ones with those little stems, and then hopefully you can see on that. Come into focus, there we go. Can you see how the little flowers are more or less lined up with those little stems and the big flowers fit in the gaps? I found if I was looking to fit the big flowers in the gaps, the little flowers didn't line up terribly well. So I line up the little flowers, and that is my tip for this particular stamp set. Line up the little flowers and you'll find the big flowers will go where they need to. So if I just do this one as well. So I clean my blocks and they're not very clear to see through now, but not bad. So I can still see where they go. And we can see that I've just got more or less, come on, come into focus, camera, thank you. You can see I've got my little flowers on the tips of the stems. Does that make some sense? Yeah, so if you've got this set, that is how I would use the stamps to do that. So I might actually use those. I was going to do them all in blue. Let's see what it looks like, and then we can choose. You can help me choose. So I'm going to do the same thing on here, but keeping boho blue for both the leaves and the flowers. I'm going to go to do 2 of them, and I'm going to line up my flowers in the same way. Not quite as easy to see, but close enough. So there's my flowers and my leaves done on there. I was a little bit low down on that one, but it'll do. Just clean those stamps. I don't like to leave ink on my stamps. I always like to clean them as I use them. That's just me. You can actually leave them to clean. The Stampin' Up! Stamps are great because they really don't. It doesn't matter that you can clean them afterwards if you want, but I just prefer this way around. So, oh, my butterfly didn't want to stick on that. Put it on this one, it's a better size. Let's move those flowers again because we don't need those again. So I've got my outline butterfly and I'm just going to use him, and managed to get ink all over my finger. That's not good, just wipe that off before I get it on my project. So I'm just going to use the outline butterfly to put it on here. And he doesn't quite fit in the box, but that doesn't really matter because I just want to sort of, he'll be off when I punch it out, but that's not my effect really. So I'm just going to have two butterflies like that. They're sort of sitting across the box. Right, just move those out of the way. So I hope that's given you some ideas, and then we can just simply, we could die cut if we wanted, or for ease, I'm going to punch. I always use my punches this way up so that I can see exactly where I'm punching, so I can line up my shape, line it up, and then just squeeze the punch together slightly to hold it in place. Check again that it's right before actually punching it out. So I'll do that with all of these. And the final ones, you can see why I cut it in this way. It's a lot easier to punch out of a strip than it is out of a piece. So you can see how I've cut bits of the butterfly wings off. That is, I did plan to do that. I'm going to punch these out as well because I just might use these. I haven't decided. We'll lay it out and you can decide for me which I think's best. So could of course done the flowers in different colours as well. I quite like these now. I might be using these white ones. I'm glad I showed you on the white now because I quite like those. Right, there's all my punching done. Put that to one side, grab another little bit of coffee because I'm gasping. Now my happy birthday, I am going to actually just trim. Not quite as roughly as that. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do because I actually want it to be a shape like that, a sort of pointy, sort of hexagon-y shape. And I did wonder about using the corner of the punch, but actually it's not quite the right shape for me. I do have an old hexagon punch, and I'll often use it for that, but not you don't always have them. So if you don't always have them, let me show you how I do this. So I use my desk. I'm going to line it up with the lines on my desk, and then I'm going to have it 1 and a bit in from either side, or possibly 2, no, probably about there, probably 2 marks in, which is, I think, is it a centimetre or half a centimetre? Not sure. And then again, find the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 2.5. So it's there. And then do the same the other side. So I've done it 1 mark in either end, and then the middle. 2, 3, 4, 5. If I move that up, I'll do it in the middle there. There we go. And then I've got marks to use to cut. So if I cut like this to my mark, so from one mark to the other, I cut off the mark as well, so I don't need to rub it out at the end. So cut from there to there. I'll have to rub that one out because it was quite a big mark. And there to there. So I've got a little bit of a mark on one that I will need to just rub out. So that's why I use pencil, so that I can just rub out any remaining marks. Yep, the rest are all gone in the cutting, which is fine. Get rid of those bits. So I've done it like that because it's sort of similar to the shape of this. I didn't want it cut in exactly the same way, but you can see it sort of matches the size and shape. That's why I've done it that way. So just cut off like that. You like the white, makes the flowers stick out. I think that's right, Suzanne. I think I might have to use those. I'll show you the layout of the card and then you can help me decide. So I had already got my 2 white layers on my card. It is going to be this way up. So it's going to be landscape. so I can stick my layers on, and I was going to stick one on flat and then the next one up. And do you know, I might just show you my other idea for an edge, and that is using, where is it? That one, using the confetti stamp, this little stamp here. Just put it on there, because it's ever so easy to do a little decorative edge for your card. You could do it on the base card, but I'm actually going to do it on here. So I need a piece of scrap paper because I should be going off the edge. Well, you can see other projects I've used with this. That's a hint for one of the projects I've actually used for Saturday. So I'm going to use my boho blue, which is my sort of colour for this. And then if I just literally stamp and just go all around the edge, and there's not going to be that much of the edge showing. I just want to make sure all of the edge is covered. I'm not bothered about lining up the inside bit of it. Ooh, a bit more there. Just make sure that's definitely covered every bit. I'm going to come all around the card like this. This is why I'm doing it on this scrap piece, because then I can overlap it off the edge, which is where I need it to be. And it's only got a little edge that needs to show. Just put one more in that corner. That's right. There we go. So I'm not bothered about it lining up. If you did want it to be an even shape, because you were going to use this as the front piece, then obviously you would want to line up your stamp a bit better. But that will do for me for this, just very quickly. But it just gives you a nice little bit of interest on that little white layer that I'm going to add to my card here. So that one is going to stick flat on, and then we'll probably put this one on dimensionals to raise it up. We'll see, because it will depend. If I want to raise, just thinking about postage. Oh dear, look at that. I've managed to get, it's on my thumb. Managed to get, good job we've got two sides to every card. I've always got an emergency side, which is a good job, because I've just managed to get blue ink on everything. So we can turn that over, use the other side, squash down the cut edges with my bone folder, and no one would ever know. Well, you'll know because you've been watching it. So, and people who are watching the replay will know, but hey, always an emergency side for our card. That's going to be my front. So I'm first going to start off by sticking my layer on that I've just decorated. So we'll just stick that on flat. So there's my layer, and then this is the one that's going to go on top, but I'm actually going to put some ribbon around this layer. And you can do this around a whole card front. If I was doing it, normally I would cut a piece for the card front, because you like that? Good, I'm glad you like that, Suzanne. It's just, it's amazing how many of our background type stamps you can use to just give yourself a bit of a pattern. So you don't need to use a piece of DSP or whatever. Sorry about the rumbling, if you can hear that. My husband's taking the bin over. Anyway, I was going to show you how to stick ribbon around card. So if I wanted to stick my ribbon around the whole of the front of the card, I could do that. And I could put some tape across here, tape here. I would have the join on the front of the card, so I could cover it up with something. So if you want to put ribbon around the whole front of a card, then do it. Put your tape, I would usually use tear and tape, put it round the whole card, but have your join at the front so you can cover it up with an element on the card. So if, for example, I was doing this with a bunch of flowers here, I'd probably put the ribbon join here if I was having the ribbon around the whole front of the card. But I'm just going to put it round part of the card, and I'm going to tie a bow. But instead of wasting a whole load of ribbon to cut enough to wrap around and tie a bow, I'm going to show you how I do it, which saves a bit of ribbon and actually makes it easier to do as well. So first of all, I'm going to cut myself a piece of ribbon. I always cut my ribbon at an angle because it does help reduce fraying, which is also useful. And then I'm going to get my tear and tape. Oh, excuse me. I'm so dry. I think it's traveling. I honestly think it's the aircraft. Aircraft are very here. What weight of cardstock do I use my layers? Good question, and I should have mentioned that. Thank you for asking, Suzanne. So for my base card, I always use basic white thick cardstock. It's just much more sturdy, and if people want to stand up a card, it always stands up very well. For my layers, so for this layer and this layer, I've used normal basic white cardstock, which isn't quite as expensive. So basic white thick for my base card, basic white normal for my layers. That's the ones I use. It's just a little bit cheaper to use the basic white. So I'm going to turn my front over, my damaged front, where I've already got my horrible bits of mark from my thumb there. And I'm going to use my board to work out where I put my tear and tape, because I've got a big line. You see this line across the top of my board. So if I place this, I want it roughly in the center so I can actually count to make sure that's the same. That's 5 at the 5 and 4.5. So that's about right. It's not, I don't want it exactly in the center. It doesn't look right somehow. It's exactly in the center. So I've got that. I can use the lines on my mat to make sure that I've got it nice and straight. And then I can use the line on the board to place my tear and tape. So I'm putting a little strip either side, lining up with my line, so I know it's going to line up. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, so that's 4 doubles and plus 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 squares up. I can turn it over, make sure I've got 9 squares up, so I know that's in the same line, and then I can put a strip along the front. And the reason I haven't just wrapped a strip round is because I want to leave a bit on one side, because I want to put a bow on. So I don't want my base ribbon to have a bow. Oops, just get that lined up again. Then I can stick this down along my black line. 6, 8, 9 there. So I need to imagine my line coming across here and stick my tape on, not so that it's, there we go, lined up with the line, but leaving a gap here because I want to be able to put a piece under to tie a bow. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So now we can stick the base piece of ribbon on. Take these bits off. I stick the front bit on first. I think it goes that way around. I don't think there's a right and a wrong way for this ribbon. I think it just goes, it is there. There we go. And then I can take the bits off the back. I know they're lined up because I lined it up with my line on my mat, and stick those ends down. I put too long a piece on the back, but that doesn't really matter. If I'm doing this all flat on the board, that's the other thing I can manage. That I know, now I know that that ribbon is flat. If you try and stick it by sticking one end and wrapping it round, it's ever so easy to get the ribbon so that it's sort of raised at the front, and it just damages the front of the card. Not damages, but it sits proud. You get a gap here because it's pulling around the card. So always put it across the front first and then wrap the bits around the back. Does that make sense? Hello from Durham City in the UK. Oh, lovely. Arderai, I have been up in Edinburgh, so not that far from you really, for the last few days, but I did get back in time to run this. I'm so glad you could join us here. So that's how I wrap it round. Don't start at one end and wrap it round. Stick it across the front, then stick your ends in. And that just means it's not warping the cardstock. It's not pulling on the cardstock, which is the problem I find if you do it on one side. No matter how well you try and lay it flat, it doesn't ever seem to quite lie flat. But if you stick it across the middle first and then stick the edges in, it keeps it really so that your card stays unwarped and nice and straight, as I hope you can see there. So that is my next layer there. Now I was thinking of putting it on with dimensionals, but I think I'm going to put it on flat and then raise my panels on dimensionals. So you can see I've kept my bit that isn't stuck down. I'm keeping to the left-hand side of my card. So I'm going to stick this on the front. Does that make sense with how I'm sort of explaining how to stick the ribbon round? And I would do exactly the same if I was doing it in wrapping it around the whole of the front of the card. I mentioned that just before, that in that case I would have the join at the front of the card. So what I would do in that scenario is I would put my strip of tape across the whole of the inside of the card, lay my ribbon down in the right way so that when I folded it round, my ends come where I wanted it at the ends. Hope that makes sense. So always stick your main piece down first and then tuck your ends round and stick them down. And the key when you're wrapping ribbon round a layer is put the ribbon on before you stick the layer on the card. I can't tell you how many times I have stuck my layer on the card and then thought, oh, I wanted to wrap ribbon around that, and I've ended up using my pokey tool to try and poke ends of ribbon in. It never really works very well, so do get it the right way round. Right, so I've got all of these bits. Now, my original card was going to look like this with my blue there, and then there's a little bit up there, and then have my happy birthday just here. Oh, actually, I might have them that way around, have it at the top. Oh, or I might have it like that. Oh, I don't know. I might, yeah, don't you know, that might be okay. So we're now going to make a choice. Do we go with this layout, or do we go with our stamped flowers? Which would you prefer? And while you're doing that, I just want to put an edge around this, which I can do by sticking it on another piece of boho blue, which for some reason I don't have. So I'll just go and get myself a scrap. From my boho blue stock. So we'll just get a little scrap out for that. So which do you think? You've done that before. Yes, stuck ribbon in when you meant to stick it on before you stuck your layer down. Honestly, I've done that so many times. And it is possible, folks, so don't panic. If you do something stupid like that, like me, then you can manage to stick corners of ribbon. You can use a pokey tool and just push them underneath. Never looks quite as good, I have to say, never. But if you get stuck, it is worth doing. Right, so I'm just going to pop a layer on for this card here. So I'm just going to cut off that piece, which I'll put back in my stash for more. And then I'm just going to eyeball this. I could do it on my trimmer, but I only want a little narrow piece, so I'm going to do it by eye, which is probably not a good idea because I'm still a little bit shaky from journeying and everything, but I think it'll work. Be close enough anyway. There we go. So I've got a little layer all the way around. There we go. Yeah. So what is that you can't decide? That doesn't help me. Suzanne, I thank you very much. You like the white. I think we might go with the white. Do you know what? I think if I was doing this card again, I might go with the white, but I would actually, I know what I might try just to see, because it just might work okay. Yeah, I know what I'm going to do. So I might use these and just destroy these a little bit. That could be okay. Let's go with the white, but I'm going to show you how I'd put a border around this, because obviously the punch is one side. The dies that come with the same set are also the same size, so you can't cut one that actually matches here. But what we can do is make something that just appears at the top and the bottom by simply chopping these in half. So I'm going to just stick those on here to give it a top and a bottom. If I can find my glue again. So we're going with the white because I've already destroyed one of my blue bits, so it's got to be white now, which is fine, because I think I do prefer it. So I'm going to stick this on, just using my glue here, and then I can just, if I'm using my lovely Tombow, I can just adjust it so that it's just sticking out a little bit. So I give myself a little bit of a layer. Can you see that okay? Good that I'm now making two cards and don't... Yeah, well, I'm not making two cards. I've decided just to make this one, so I can... Instead of keeping these for another card, I'm going to bastardize them just so I can use them to make a little extra edge. I'm going to do the same with this one. And actually, you could even use... No, I don't think it looks nice with the stamp. We're going to use the plain sides. And it's just one way to get a little edge. Now you can bastardize one. If you cut out two, you could do it 4 ways round, and that would actually give you an edge down the side as well. But I don't want that because I don't want anything more on the middle of the card, because I want to show you where I'd put the bow as well, which means I can't have that in the middle. Oh no. I really should have made a decision on this card rather than trying to make different decisions on the hoof, but it'll be fine. These things work. So I'm going to move these along a little bit. Good job I haven't stuck anything down yet, because I always like to lay out my card so I can have a look and see if I like that, because I want to put a bow here. Because I wanted to show you the reason I left this piece of ribbon unstuck down was so that I can actually put a bow through it. So I'm going to cut myself a little length of card. Now, several things you can do. I could tie a knot, and then I'll just do it loosely because I want to undo it and show you a bow, but I could tie a knot and then stick it on with a glue dot or something like that. Or if I'm doing a bow, same with a knot, actually, I could do it this way as well. But I think I'll probably do a bow. And that is if I've left this loose, so I haven't got anything stuck under there, so I can just use my pokey tool to encourage my ribbon to go underneath and through. And then I can tie a bow. So it means I'm not wasting ribbon. But it also means that I can, well, I didn't cut myself a very long piece, did I? But that's typical. Not long enough. Okay. Perhaps do my bow without doing a knot first. Or I could cut myself a new bit of ribbon, of course. I think this is just about long enough to do a bow. Let's try and make a bow out of this piece of ribbon. Come on, come through. Thank you. It isn't quite long enough, is it? Do you know what? I think I better cut myself a bit longer bit of ribbon. Heaven's sake, woman. What am I doing? So I'll slide that one through again. Now I've got plenty of ribbon to do it with. So I'm going to tie myself a knot this time because I have got plenty of ribbon. So all fingers and thumbs, hopeless. So now I can decide where I want my knot to be and then fix it around my ribbon like that. And as I say, you could either leave it just as a knot or we can tie a bow. I can't tie a bow. This is because I'm live and I can't tie bows live. I can't tie bows at the best of times, to be honest. That's better. Right, it's twisted. Oh, dear, dear. So I've managed to twist my bow as well. That's not good. Let's try and twist that back. There we go. You're coming this side. Oh, finally, we have a bow. So that's my idea, that we have a bow here. I'll need to trim this because I've pulled it too much. And I don't want it fraying like that, so we'll just trim these down. Have this one a bit less as well. Oops. There we go. So there's my bow. So rather than have a big length of ribbon wrapped around and then try and use the ends to tie the bow, which I find really even more difficult than that, because that was difficult enough, let's face it. Didn't tie a very good bow, but it will do. It's lying fairly flat, and that's all that really matters. I quite like it to show a bit more that that's a bow and not just a line. So pull it out a bit there. So once I've got that in place, I can stick my other bits on, and we can see whether this card actually looks any good or not. So, right, I'm going to stick everything on with dimensionals. Why not? Because that's why I decided to stick that flat, because then I can use dimensionals on the rest of these pieces. Oops, dimensionals sticking to me now as well, just to add to everything. So I'm having this one roughly halfway between my bow and the side there, and I'm having this one sort of coming down, so like that, and I'll have these ones. Oh, now I'm picking bits of tops of dimensionals without the dimensional itself. That's not good either. So we'll have these dimensional tops do not want to go in the bin today. There we go. So for both of these, I shall have them up here. So that one there and the other one the other side. So I'm just going to eyeball these to get them sort of lined up top and bottom. I think that's probably close enough. That still leaves me a little bit of ribbon sticking out there. That's good. And then finally my sentiment I'll also put on dimensionals. And that can go across the top here. So I'm overlapping all of my little punched out shapes like that. You can see now why I brought that butterfly down a little bit, because I wanted it to tuck under there. What do you think? that was interesting. We did it all a different way around. So I could have used white on there as well and done the same thing with these. But I think actually it's all right like that. I'm happy with the happy birthday uh, and the butterflies just underneath it. But I am going to just add a little bit of bling to those. I'm going to use my in-colour gems that I actually finally found. These are the, oh no, these are the tinsel gems. I found a pack of these and I thought, oh, those are nice, sparkly gems. Like sparkly gems. So we'll have a few sparkly gems on the butterflies. Probably should have put those on flat actually, because this will make the card quite big to post. This one may have to be given to somebody instead of posted, because it would cost a lot to post. It should be definitely large letter with those on, as well as the dimensionals. But I think that just finishes it off. And just to finish it off completely, a little bit of Wink of Stella. So we're going to have Wink of Stella around the butterfly. I'm just going to colour that in. You probably won't see this on. It's really, really difficult to show Wink of Stella on film. It is there, and I can see it sparkling, but whether you can, I'm not sure. And then just to finish off in the centre of these big flowers, we're going to have a little bit of Wink of Stella as well. There. Can we see the Wink of Stella in the film? I can see it. I don't know if you can. Probably not. Doesn't show very well on that. The blue, yeah, that blue. I love boho blue. I think it has become my favourite blue. I actually do. It's just such a nice blue colour. Fantastic. So we've done quite a lot of techniques just on this one card, but I hope it's given you all some really good ideas as to how you can fiddle around and use sets in different ways. I've gone through how to make the background using that confetti stamp from the set. I do think this set, labelled with love, and its punch or dies, is just such a useful set for so many different events. We've got a just for you, thanks friend, enjoy today. Can make you gift tags with it. For either birthday or Christmas, using the presents and the to and from. You've got happy birthday, you are loved, enjoy today. So many different situations where you can make a card for somebody using this set. It's just brilliant. So yeah, so I've made the edging for that layer. Then we've done different things with these, and I've told you about my tip for lining up the flowers with the leaves in this set by lining up the small flowers with their little stems, and then the big flowers sit where they need to sit in the gaps. So I hope that's given you some ideas, and obviously you can use a whole load of different sets to make a similar card using any shape, die or punch that you've got. But I hope it's also given you some ideas for ribbon and how to use ribbon most easily. Always I stick my bows or my knots on separately onto my piece of ribbon. So this one I've tied it round the ribbon. I could have done a knot and stuck it on with glue dots. There's so many different ways to do it, but hopefully that's given you some ideas about ribbon, about stamping, about how you can use punches to provide edges for images. We've covered a lot today, haven't we? But I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you so much for joining me today. The details and all the sizes and things I'll write in the blog, which will be out later today because I haven't had a chance to write it yet. Give me an hour or so and it'll be up. Obviously, if you do want to know anything at all about anything that I do, then please do get in contact through my website, craftycarolscards.co.uk, which is where the blog is. And thank you for joining me here. Please do like this channel if you do. Let me just put me back there. So it's better talking to people when you can see them, isn't it? So yeah, all the details be in the blog. Like this channel, please. Do give me comments. Do ask any questions you want to. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to sign off